Let me do the ubiquitous and share my screen. We've got some slides to share. Here we go. Hopefully everybody can see that. Please put a note in the chat if you've got any issues with it. I've still got people coming in. Brilliant. Right, I've given you a quick overview of what we're going to do. So I'll move us forward. What is a mentoring program? So it's all kind of well and good me saying, oh, AphA has a mentoring program, but what does that actually mean? And these are the kind of 5 key points. This is what a mentoring program is really all about. It's developing supportive relationships. So we're bringing together experienced mentors and mentees who can benefit from their guidance, support and encouragement. It's really about building that skills and knowledge transfer. So development of the mentee skills and knowledge, building on the extra experience that their mentor has, and kind of giving the mentee a bit of confidence to grow, identify what they might need to do next, to kind of grow both professionally and to an extent personally as well. A really important element of a mentoring program is that it's goal oriented, and that's absolutely at the heart of what the AphA program is all about. We want to structure the program that helps mentees achieve specific goals or milestones. So whilst you develop this, a very fruitful relationship, hopefully it is all in the service of a really very focused goal. The benefits aren't just for the mentee. It's very much a two-way learning process. So mentors will guide mentees, but they also gain insights themselves, perhaps fresh perspectives, and the satisfaction and joy of helping others. And then finally, a mentoring program is absolutely rooted in confidentiality and is about building trusting relationships. So having that trust and mutual respect, ensuring open and honest conversations so that both parties can absolutely get the most out of it. I thought it'd be worth pausing at this point just to reflect on what a mentoring program is not. This is not a substitute for formal training. Mentoring is very complementary to structured training or professional development programs, but we're not replacing that. So mentors won't be kind of providing, specific training on a particular. You've probably got. I've just realised you've probably got a bit of my Teams. Let me move that out of the way. There we go. So yeah, mentors won't be providing specific training on technical elements or particular methods, for example. It's definitely not a one-sided relationship. This isn't just about the mentor directing or solving problems for the mentee. Both the mentor and the mentee contribute benefit. And then finally, this is not micromanagement or coaching. Mentoring is focusing on broader development. It's not very specific task-specific guidance or performance improvement. We're looking at broad goals, and career development rather than achieving what's in your PDP, if that makes sense. So that's a kind of brief overview of what a mentoring program is and also what it isn't. So hopefully set some expectations for you. Why be a part of a mentoring program? These are the biggies. So from a mentee perspective, you get that direct access to experience, insight and guidance that not only helps you identify what your next step should be in your analyst career, but also helps you frame that in the terms of what you need to achieve in order to get there. We've tried to build it so we've got explicit links into the National Competency Framework and the wider analytical professionalisation agenda, so that you've got a clear line of sight between what you're doing with your mentor and kind of specific kind of NHS analytics career development framework. It is a confidential space. This is a chance for you to really have a conversation with someone who's knowledgeable and insightful, and you should feel free to be very honest about the challenges that you're facing, and that may give you, and that external objective insight and challenge will give you a kind of an extra string to your bow in terms of thinking about how you're going to progress and where you want to go next. As I said, it's not all about the mentees. For mentors, this is an opportunity to really develop your leadership and interpersonal skills, Just preparing for this webinar, it was hugely useful for me to reflect on my own practice and reflect on my own journey, and what's gone well, what hasn't quite gone so well over that time, and things that I've learned along the way. And so it gives a great opportunity to really utilize your experience and expertise, just to give something back, to support the development of others. As I said, kind of hugely, it gives them warm and fuzzy feelings inside, to be perfectly honest with you. So that's all the kind of theory, high level. What's a mentorship program? Why be a part of it? But really, before we get into the weeds of what the AphA program looks like, I thought we would introduce Simon. Simon, do you have slides, or are you giving us a bit of interpretive dance?
Just my pretty face. I can do some. I'm pretty good at shadow puppets, if that helps.
That would be great.
So let me do that.
I will stop sharing, and I'll hand over to you.
No, there's no real, I don't know. All right, where are we? Anyway, yes, so my name is Simon Wellesley Miller. I've worked for the NHS now for, I think I've just hit my 10 years, so I think I'm due some extra holiday. That's nice, isn't it? I've worked in analytics for about 15 years. Previously, I worked on sort of child protection data for a local council, and I also worked for the police for a little while. So yeah, different data sets, etc. I completed a master's in healthcare data science 2 years ago. I'm a keen member of the NHSR community and also of AphA. I work as a senior analytical manager for NHS England, where I've been here for the last 3 years. Prior to that, I worked 7 years in a mental health provider. And I guess I'm here to talk about my experience as a mentor on the previous round of the mentorship program. So I came to it as somebody who'd never been a mentor or a mentee and totally didn't know what to expect. So came at it pretty blind when I just kind of stuck my hand up, and somebody said, "Hey, you should go and do that." There were some absolutely great forms and guidance provided by AphA to support the process, and that really made it considerably less daunting and was really, really important. So just the fact that you're not sort of just thrown into it and go, there you go be a mentor, and yeah, there's a really good framework around it, and also that whole process really, really useful. Anybody who knows me knows I'm absolutely capable of rambling away on tangents. So having that sort of framework around it really sort of allowed us to sort of focus on the conversation. Probably going over a bit of what Kate said as well is, what you're obviously probably going to hear a lot about what mentoring is, but it's also good to understand what mentoring isn't. So it's definitely not a one-way discussion. It's not a case of somebody comes up, the mentee goes, "I've got a question," and I'll just go, "Well, here's the answer. That's how you do that thing." How do I get a promotion? Well, you just need to work smarter, not harder, or something. It's not that kind of thing. So it's really about exploring things in a quite a personal way. And sort of developing a solution together, and undoubtedly drawing on experience from both sides. And it's really important to know, as a mentor, you gain so much from it, just as you would as a mentee, just to have your sort of personal biases and your all that really, really sort of challenged, etc. So having those really frank, open conversations is really quite liberating, and actually, as I said, really, really did make me challenge some of my own biases and ways of looking at things. And it's definitely a learning experience on both sides. Another thing that it's really important is that this is not a place where grade or rank matters in the slightest. It's really about that experience that you have in that field. So it's 100% not a management relationship in any shape or form in that sort of formalized way. Obviously, it is very supportive of a management way of working, but it definitely is not that kind of thing. So it's not about micromanaging or setting tasks and all of those kind of things. So it's really about being that open and honest as possible, which is absolutely super important. You need to develop a place and a rapport where you can really sort of open up and create that really super safe environment where, you know, ideas can be shared, discussed, dismissed, laughed at, you know, whatever. But, you know, just in a really open and frank way. And I guess one of the, you know, the real key benefits that the sort of the AphA mentorship offers is that sort of the whole national aspect of the cohort of mentors and mentees, you know, being able to get that experience and expertise from beyond your local networks is, you know, absolutely fabulous. So, you know, I have seen sort of local-ish sort of mentoring schemes where, you know, somebody might just get you know, eventually matched up with their manager, and it's like, well, I've kind of talked to this person already, and I know where they are. So actually having somebody who's completely outside your normal field is, you know, a massive really useful benefit of the specific AphA scheme. So as far as the actual sort of mentorships itself, I mean, you know, just a bit of preparation and sort of reading through the sort of the framework is really useful. As it said, trying to set a clear goal around what you're trying to achieve for the mentorship. So there's a couple of models out there. You can do the whole sort of SMART thing, or you can do the GROW model, which I think I've heard about recently, which is you kind of set your goal and understand the reality of, so the GR is set your goal, your R is understand your reality and your challenges, O is trying to determine what your options are and sort of possible solutions, and then W is your sort of way forward and trying to create that action plan and next steps. So kind of a little bit different from the sort of the SMART method, which I'm sure many of us are sort of used to. Like I say, having a bit of preparation beforehand, just to be, you know, try to formalize the question or the topic that you're trying to discuss is really important, especially if you get me. But, you know, right at the start is, you know, creating that short shared knowledge, and sort of making that safe space by, you know, having a really just frank and open discussion, share your background information about where you've come from, your sort of career, how you've got to your current situation, and, you know, really express as the mentee, you know, what is your challenge, you know, what is the key bit that you are you know, hoping to pull out from this mentorship. And, you know, you might not achieve it, let's just be quite honest, but without a doubt the journey will be absolutely fantastic, and you'll pick up so many things that you probably weren't expecting, that actually, even though you probably haven't got an answer to the question, you've picked up so much peripheral stuff that, you know, it's still really useful. You know, throughout the actual process, just some, you know, some basic bookkeeping, you know, make sure you use all your sort of active listening. Try not to make it like a 4-hour session, you know, try to keep it short, snappy and regular is more useful, I found, than, you know, big long sessions. Pay attention, you know, take notes and sort of share your notes, and just, you know, just clarify that you've got the right bits. As I said, without a doubt, open and honesty is really useful, and get that feedback sort of continually as you go through. So, you know, just trying to dig out from, you know, for your you know, if you're the mentor, no, so the mentee, you know, absolutely tap into your mentor's experience, you know, try to pull out how they did things, whether they think, you know, what challenges they had, you know, try to get sort of very sort of specific advice, and look through there. And I guess from this, hopefully what you can start to develop is some sort of, you know, almost like an action plan, I guess, of, you know, what you want to do, what are the sort of the key takeaways, if there is anything else you want to explore. You know, make sure that, you know, you book all your you know, your future meetings, etc., and, you know, actually prioritize those. You mentioned right at the start, this is one of those dreaded lunchtime meetings. I really am not a fan of lunchtime meetings. Lunch is really important to take a break from your work. So, you know, this is really important stuff. So put some time to it and absolutely protect it. You know, I'm sure it will be seen by some as, oh, well, if it doesn't happen, it's not that important. It is really important. This is about you and your future. And, you know, both people are putting in their own time here. So, you know, make sure it is valued. So, you know, without a doubt, you know, make sure it's all respectful. sure, be prepared for the meeting. So make sure you've done whatever it is, actions that you've decided to do. And, it's, without a doubt, it will be awkward at first. It's that kind of awkward first dateness is definitely going to be a part of it. But, just kind of get through that and, realize that by setting that sort of shared goal of what you would like to get to is really important. And then, at the end of it, just make sure you do that sort of closure and evaluation of the process. Just to formally sort of close the mentoring relationship. I'm still in touch with the guy that I mentored on a sort of a LinkedIn and personal note, but from the mentor relationship, make sure that's sort of closed off, and also do a little bit of evaluation and impact. We're analysts, so let's analyze what we've done and see whether it was effective, and see if there is any sort of lessons learned or best practices which we can feed back into the process, and obviously make things better. So I guess my final bits were, it was definitely a two-way process. I think I gained just as much out of it from going through that. It definitely helped me with sort of my management style and doing bits and pieces there, so it was really useful in that score. And as I said, just a sort of a really nice, fresh, open way of sort of tackling issues is really vital, and just having a safe place to be challenged without sort of getting your heckles off or having some arbitrary deadline forced on you and all of those things is really, really pleasant experience. So thoroughly recommend it, either as a mentor or as a mentee. Really, really valuable. I think that's probably it, but happy to take any questions or whatever, or do some more shadow puppets for 2 minutes. What we got?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Simon. That was absolutely invaluable insight. If anyone has a burning question for Simon, just hold on to it for a few moments more. We will come to it in the Q&A session at the end. But Simon, thank you so much for your reflections. And I think that's given a really good overview of the value for both mentor and mentee. And, it's nothing like putting a face to the enthusiasm and the value that a program like this can bring. I'm going to go back to the dreaded sharing of slides again, and we're going to get into a little bit more now the detail of the AphA offer in terms of a mentorship program. Once I've got all of my screens back to where they should be, and moved my team screen back over here. There we go. So nuts and bolts then. Who can apply to be a mentee or a mentor on the offer program? And to be perfectly honest, pretty much everybody. The key point on this slide, if anyone who wants some support along their career path, you're right for a mentee. Anyone who's got experience and insight from their own career and is willing to share it, you'd be a great mentor. The key point on this slide is that there's no limit on the seniority, role or experience. Whether it's your first job out of school, or whether you are already a senior leader in the analytics space, you can benefit from being a mentee. And on the mentor side of things, you don't have to be that senior leader in order to give back to someone who is maybe newer in their career than you are. So give some real thought to not just whether you benefit to be in terms of being a mentee, but how you could potentially give some of your experience, and even if that's just early career experience, back to someone else. The only requirement really on both sides of the mentee-mentor relationship is a willingness to listen carefully, share your own experience and insight, and offer support and engagement from a mentor, and review and be prepared, as Simon said, to review, reflect, and potentially be challenged in terms of your own requirements. And really, it's about taking responsibility for your own development. So if that sounds like it might fit you in terms of whether you'd be right for application, this is what might await you. This is what a typical mentoring journey looks like in terms of the AphA offer. Now, it's worth noting at this point that this is what we'd expect typically, but it's flexible. This is not kind of set in tablets of stone, and different relationships may move at different paces. If you've set a goal and you feel that actually you've absolutely achieved that 3 months in, then that's a conversation you can have with your mentor. It's absolutely not a problem. But typically we're looking at a 12-month kind of relationship. And in those early months, an initial orientation, really about getting to know each other, where you've come from, where you want to go, and then start to discuss some of those key goals and objectives. Think about your strengths and weaknesses and discuss those. And the key outcome of that kind of conversation around the month 3 mark would be a mentorship agreement, so that you actually write down the goals that you're working towards, the objectives that you want to work on together going forward. And then it's quite an iterative process and very much led by the mentee with their mentor over the next few months. At AphA, we will do a bit of a check-in call with you around the month 6 mark, just the kind of midpoint, just to make sure that everything's going okay, whether there's anything we can do to support you. And obviously, we'd like to hear your feedback about the programme, how it's gone, how it's going for you, and whether we can make any improvements going forward. And then as we move towards the end of the programme, kind of shifting into that kind of the end, we move into that kind of more reflective period of time. As Simon says, you've got to evaluate. I'm a director of evaluation. I'm up for evaluating absolutely everything. So reviewing those objectives, agreeing next steps. It may be that you want to extend the mentor-mentee relationship going forward, and that again is absolutely fine. At that point, we as the mentoring team at AphA would be asking you to complete a couple of feedback forms. That's obviously for our benefit, but hopefully a great opportunity for you to reflect and feedback on your experience at that point. So that's what a typical mentoring journey looks like. The support that you get from us includes a fairly comprehensive mentoring handbook that's got tips and tools, some of the models that Simon mentioned, techniques for really getting the best out of your mentoring partnership. You get a welcome pack, which kind of breaks down everything that you need to know to get started, with some useful links to videos and various other resources that you could use to help you do some of that early preparation before you begin your mentoring journey. And then templates for everything. So you've got a template mentoring agreement that you can use to record your objectives, templates for your sessions if you need them, not mandatory in any way. And as I said, a check-in, a midpoint check-in with the AphA team to make sure that you're happy with how things are, any feedback or learning that you've got for us as well. And then last but by no means least, you get support just from the central team. Obviously you can drop us a line, but from your branch leads as well. So if you need some extra support getting the most out of your mentoring partnership, or a little bit of advice, or even if things aren't quite going too well and you just want to check in whether that's normal or not, that's absolutely fine. Your branch leads and the central team are there for you if you need us at any point. What's happening next? So very excitingly, our first cohort launches this week. So for those of you on the call who applied to be a mentor or a mentee, we'll get your details on Friday, the 31st of January. Everything is poised and ready to go. And so we are now accepting applications for our next cohort. It's very much dependent on the amount of interest that we get. So if we have enough mentors and mentees, because we want to ensure that we've got enough people, so we don't want mentors to be mentoring lots and lots of people. We need to make sure we've got a good balance of skills and geography, and make sure that people are matched in a useful and meaningful way, and that mentors don't end up with a lot of mentees to look after. So if we have enough mentors and mentees, we will undertake the matching process, and then we'll launch our second cohort in July of this year, so in about 6 months' time. If we don't have enough, we'll keep taking applications, and then we'll launch a new cohort this time next year. If that sounds good, if that sounds like something that you feel you might benefit from, either as a mentee or a mentor, here's how you apply. It's all on the AphA website. There's a mentoring page. In fact, you could just Google mentorship at AphA and you will find the page. There's an application form on there. It's the same whether you want to be a mentor or a mentee. You just indicate on that form which one you're applying for. You can complete as much information on that as possible about what you want to get out of the programme, what your experience is, so on and so forth. That would be great, because it really helps us then make a good match, successful match, and then return it to that email address. That's pretty much everything from me. I'm going to ask Louise if there's any nugget of information that I've missed, and then we can open it up to Q&A. Let me stop sharing my screen.
That's all right. I was going to say there's nothing in the chat at the moment. I'm just about to add the link in of how to register. But if there's any other questions, you want to raise your hands? Silence.
Don't worry, I'm absolutely not one for letting things run for the sake of it. So we can all leave early if there's no questions. Godswell, you're on mute still.
Okay. Hello everyone. Thank you very much for this program. I first heard of AphA. That was in December, because I wanted to transition into the healthcare analyst field. I am a mental health support worker, so I'm looking to transition, and this is something I want to do quickly as possible. Yeah, that's where my training is anyway. But I'm someone who just wants quick analytical, and I love healthcare too. So this mentorship program, does it enable people to transition into the healthcare analyst field? Because I'm already a subscriber for the I don't really know what exactly, but I know I'm charged some amount of money every month. That's okay. Yeah. So how does one transition into the into being a healthcare analyst with AphA? Yeah, and that's it.
Nope, thank you. That's a really great question. Thank you, Godswell. So as long as you need to be a member of AphA, and it sounds like you are already to access the program. I should have made that clearer. But certainly, if you're looking for a kind of career change, there are going to be lots of mentors who'll be able to help you think about what you need to be doing, where you need to be looking, and provide you with advice in making that transition. So I mean, I would say yes, absolutely. If you apply for a cohort, do make that very clear on your application form, and then we'll make sure that we can kind of match you to a mentor who is best placed to support you with that kind of transitional phase into the healthcare space. Okay. Monica was next, and then I've got some questions to answer on the chat. Monica.
Right. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Monica, and I have been granted the bursary from FedIP, and then the extension that I chose is AphA, as I have transitioned into a role in data. I am aware that the bursary will end this year. So if I will apply as a mentee, how will that push through? Will I need to sign up with you guys fully, etc.? Just need clarity on that.
Yeah, you'd need to be a full member of AphA, but I think that's quite a good value investment to make. It's not kind of a massive amount, but as long as you're a member of AphA, it doesn't, your FedIP bursary kind of coming to an end wouldn't impact your kind of eligibility, if you like, for the mentorship program.
Right. Thank you. Looking forward to it. I'm applying. Thank you.
Fantastic. Let me address some of the questions. Are there hands that I'm missing, Louise?
No, I was going to move over. I think, Godswell, have you still got your hand up as a legacy? You've not got anything else. So questions in the chat. So what kind of goals, objectives can be set up? Are they project focused or career focused?
I think primarily career focused really is the focus of the program as a whole, but that's really for early discussion with your mentor. So if there are very specific bigger project things that you're concerned about, it may be worth discussing, perhaps in the context of broader career goals.
Simon, is there any, just in terms of your objectives?
Yeah.
I know it was a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to remember back to what our question was, and I can't remember what it was exactly, but I think, so I was mentoring, so it was a new data scientist in a trust. He was the sort of the first data scientist in the trust, and I think his question was how does he get his trust to start asking him the data science questions, and trying to push that kind of more advanced analytics onto their trust, and how would he then be able to you know, help them formulate those type of questions and him to do those pieces of work, because you know, they've gone, yes, we need a data scientist, but without actually knowing what data science is. And you know, that's really, really hard. You know, I think all of us probably struggle with getting our stakeholders to ask us analytical questions rather than, can you just give me a dashboard with how many blue widgets there were last week, or whatever. So yeah, I think that was our goal. So it was, you know, it's quite specific, but you know, as the conversation went, it did open up lots of different areas. So
Great, thank you. And sorry, one of the other questions was, sorry, just got to scroll up. Did everyone that applied get a mentee, as a mentee, get a mentor this year?
Yes, they did. Everyone who is included in the January cohort, that is everybody who applied between, I guess it would have been kind of September, October time, and the 20th of December 2024 has now been matched. And as I said, you'll be hearing in the next, by Friday, who your assigned mentor is. And if I've got any mentors on the call, you'll be advised who your mentee or mentees are in the same time. So just to answer the specifics, so AJ, Maria, Olufunamileo, apologies if I've mangled the pronunciation of your name, all of you would have been assigned your applications in October through, so you're part of this January cohort.
And just looking at Catherine's questions about how specific your goals need to be in the application, I think from my experience I think you can be quite relatively broad in your application. That's more of a sort of a matching thing. So we can sort of broadly match you with somebody who's skills in that area. And then I think it is down to a discussion with your mentor around, you know, what actual skills they've got, and then you can sort of hone that down to be much more specific with them.
If I give an example of the kind of thing that's been really helpful on an application form, you know, somebody saying that I've been in analytics for a number of years. I'm keen to move more into managing analytical teams. Are there particular issues with, you know, not issues, but other particular things that you need to do in order to do that well? You know, wants to kind of look at what additional skills might be required or knowledge might be required in order to move into more of a management role in the analytical context. So that's a very broad something I want to do, but the specifics, you know, those don't kind of, and that's been very useful in terms of matching, but it's not what I would call a kind of specific goal that you would work with a mentor in. You'd be looking to develop that in more detail. So I hope that answers the question, Catherine. Great.
I was just going to also add in as well with the introduction of the National Competency Framework as well, so we can be more specific, sort of to align to the competency framework, to the competencies within there.
Don't worry, Godswill, we'll make sure we'll send out the right, the direct link with this when we send around the link to this webinar. So Ibrahim, the earliest opportunity for the next cohort would launch it in July. So effectively we'll be opening the application window now, closing that kind of early to mid-June to give us time to do the matching, and then we would launch it in July. So you'd be advised of your mentor in July and be able to start the process then. Lovely. Any other questions? We're at time, more or less. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for coming. It would have been a really dull webinar without you all. Although I'm sure Simon, Louise, and I would have had a bit of a nice chat. If you've got any other questions at all, do drop us a line at the info@aphaanalysts.org email address. Very happy to answer any of your questions. and hope to see applications flooding in the coming weeks. Thank you very much, and huge thanks to Simon as well for the shadow puppets, apart from anything else. Thank you, everybody. Have good afternoons.
Cheers all.
Thank you.
You guys staying on for 2 seconds.